What's the creepiest or most unexplainable thing you've ever seen that you haven't shared anywhere? Serious. Back in 2016, my mother was staying at my place because my father was in the hospital at the time and my apartment was right next to the hospital. One night I had this dream that the landline rings and my mother answers the phone and hears the news that my dad has passed away. She hangs up the phone and tells me that my uncle, a doctor at the hospital my father was in, just gave her the news of my father's passing. I wake up startled. I have a drink of water and just as I start feeling relieved that this was all just a bad dream, the phone rings and my mum picks it up. I was just watching her from a distance, noticing the expression on her face, noticing the tears that started dripping down her cheek, and she hangs up the phone and tells me that my uncle just told her that my father has passed away. This is the only unexplained thing that ever happened to me, and this is the first time I share this with anybody. Thank you everyone, appreciate your kind words and condolences. I got recalled into work and was driving at about 3 a.m. I was in a very rural area in western Washington. As I come around a curve, I see a woman in a nightgown on the side of the road looking up at a steep embankment. Just standing there staring away from the road. There are no homes nearby, not for miles. I call 911 and pull over about a minute up the road, not knowing what to think. Deputy showed up, couldn't locate anyone, and was as dumbfounded as I was.
Hey guys, much like you, I love reading people's stories on Ask Reddit. Unfortunately, there's a lot of weird middle school level, just thought experiment type hypotheticals like nice try Baskin Robbins. I don't find this compelling, so that's why I've made it my mission to trawl and crawl through Ask Reddit and find the very best content and put it in your ears. That's why I'm begging you, like and subscribe. If there's anything I can do to help you out, give you the kind of content that you crave to help you get through your workday, let me know in a comment. But please like and subscribe.
My father died when I was 15. In my freshman year of college, me and my roommate in the dorms were somewhat close, but really had only been known each other for a month when the creepy thing happened. I hadn't told her much about my childhood, but she knew that my father had passed. One day she woke me up and asked me, "Did your father used to call you insert silly childhood nickname here?" I hadn't heard that name since I was 6 or 7. I definitely never told her that he used to call me that, as it was a repressed memory that I hadn't thought about in a long time. Anyway, as it turned out, she had a dream that my father had come to her and asked her to take care of me, calling me by this silly childhood nickname. It was always difficult for me that my father never saw me graduate high school or start college. But I guess he did, from wherever he is now. I was 10 riding my bicycle at dusk along the road I lived on, which was parallel to a set of railroad tracks. I moved off the road as a car sped by and a beer bottle came sailing at me from the front passenger seat. I could see 2 young women turn around laughing at me through the back window. I flipped them off and kept riding. About 30 seconds later, I heard the train slam into them. When I was about 9 in the October 2nd, 2024, I was playing football in the street. A bus came along, so I jumped up on the pavement. As it passed, I noticed my aunt and she smiled and waved to me. When the bus had gone, I carried on playing. I went home several hours later to find my aunt had died the previous evening. When I was about 11 or 12, I went with my friend and my younger brother to play football in a park that was in a pretty remote place, so there were never many people. Basically 3 or 4 people came dressed in like Victorian-style clothes, set up a box underneath a tree with big branches, tied a rope around it. One of them stood there with this noose around his neck, and then his friend kicked the box so he was hanging. They took turns doing this, and we left. Was super weird thinking back to it, and I have to check with my brother whenever I think about it to make sure it actually happened. For people asking how did they not die, they were taking turns, etc. From what I remember, the box mustn't have been particularly high relative to the length of the rope, so there wasn't much of a drop if any. I don't remember how long they were swinging for, but I suppose it must have been between 15 seconds to a minute. Then the friends would put the box back for the one hanging to stand on so they could get down, and someone else would take their place. My friend and I were sleeping in my parents' room one night when she was over, and it was probably about 3 a.m. Suddenly we hear a sound like a fart from the corner of the room, and distinctly from this one corner. So I ask my friend if she farted, and of course she says no, as it clearly came from that corner. Thinking maybe it's my dogs, as they sometimes sleep in my parents' room, I go and check it out but realize they're not in the room with us. Okay, so that's weird, I thought, and my friend also said she heard a distinct fart too, so we assumed that maybe we both misheard. Then all of a sudden an unknown caller starts ringing my phone, and I don't answer because at this point I'm freaked the fuck out. After I decline the call, I receive a message from an unknown caller with the same area code as the caller who had just called me. The text message is all in Spanish, and me and my friend decide to paste the text into Google Translate, where it proceeds to say, "Did you hear that fart?" Needless to say, we never slept in my parents' room again, and we're convinced that we have a Spanish farting ghost in our presence. No brothers that would have pranked me either. I have a sister, but she was as amused as I was when I told her. Freaky shit. In my mother's house, the basement light would turn on while we were away, and even if it was turned off before we left, it was somehow back on when we got back. Once I went downstairs and was like, "Hey Mr. Gossman, this is not good for the bills. Could you posture it with the lights?" "Yes, I know it's dark down here." "Okay, thanks." Lights stayed off. Holy Christ, more than 2 people upvoted me. What also? No, I have not seen Parasite. She lives in a small townhome and the basement is small, bare, and open. If someone could hide in there, I'd be extremely impressed given the complete lack of hiding spaces. When I get the chance, I'll give her a nightlight for Mr. Ghost when I see her. It's what he deserves. Also, if we did have a swatter, that person wouldn't be able to hid very long. My dog and 2 cats live there, all of which are very alert to strangers, smell or looks, especially the dog. My dorm hall had some weird shit happen, but one of the weirdest was that I went to the bathroom to wash my face and brush my teeth. The sink was right next to the entrance, and as I washed my face, I saw and heard the door open and noticed a figure move to the end of the stalls. I figured a girl had just come in to use the bathroom. I dry off my face and begin brushing my teeth, but realized I didn't hear anyone else. I checked each stall and no one was in there. I quickly grabbed my stuff and noped out. I was working in a retail store in a pretty sketchy area. There was this lady who was obviously a heavy drug user or ex-drug user. She must have been in her October 2nd, 2024 or October 2nd, 2024. She was notorious on my block for being a crazy, but she'd visit me all the time and told me she thought I was cute. It was really bizarre cause she looked like a crackhead, but she'd act like a teenage girl around me. I tried to be nice to her cause she was known for being volatile. Anyway, on Christmas Eve she packed an entire Christmas dinner which she told me was all home-cooked Guyans food and a cologne set. As she was leaving, she just squats down on the floor and throws her hand up and starts cackling. Yes, cackling, which faded to a giggle. Never saw her again. Yes, I ate it, and I enjoyed it. Confirmed with some Guyans Redditors, main dish was definitely pepper pot second, so a lot of you seem really surprised I ate the food. Some describing it as insanity. Some as a mark of true bravery. Let me be very clear, the point of the post wasn't even about me eating the food. It'd basically take free food from a stranger any given day of the week. From the moment she handed me the food, I knew I was going to eat it. Neither the prior knowledge of her being a druggie nor any action she would take after handing me the food was going to change this.
Did you know that when you drink tea from a tea bag, especially a cheap tea bag, you are exposing yourself to microplastics greater in quantity than from any other source? Microplastics are the #1 health risk of our generation, and they will have unknown consequences on future generations. So, if you value your health, destroy your tea bags. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy great tea. I'm going to post affiliate links for my own homebrew loose leaf tea concoction that I drink every single day. It has no microplastics, and it honestly tastes better than tea from a tea bag ever did. So be sure to click the links below and get on the loose leaf tea train to avoid poisoning yourself and your children.
I was in my final year at uni, and I worked as a TOEFL language prof. This meant teaching 1-hour sessions multiple times a week. I basically lived in the known to be haunted humanities building. One Tuesday after my final class and before my first lesson of the evening, I was in the staff room heating up my shitty microwave dinner. A woman I had never seen before came in, obligatory let me just scooch past y'all and check the time on the coffee machine. Now I found it odd that this university employee came here just to check the time on the coffee machine. You don't have a phone, computer, watch, clock. But who am I and my lean cuisine to judge? She looks at the time on the coffee machine and says, "That can't be right. What time is it?" Me, it's 5:37 a.m. Her, I'm 5 minutes fast. Oak. With that she left, and although a bit odd, I didn't dwell on the interaction. That is, until 1 week later, Tuesday evening, I was again heating up my food when she enters. Obligatory let me just scooch past y'all and check the time. That can't be right. What time is it? I look at my phone. It is exactly 5:37 a.m. I tell her, and once again she says I'm 5 minutes fast. Oak and leaves. I am deeply unsettled. The microwave dings. I take my lean cuisine and quickly head upstairs. Never saw that woman again. Thanks for the Yikes award. Exactly my feelings. You'll thinking this was Wisconsin, but it was Missouri. I was probably 18 years old, and was driving at night to see a friend. This man kind of jumped in front of the car to make me stop. He honestly looked crazy. I slowed down the car to almost stop, and he moved to talk to me, I think through the window. But I just drove off once he got out of the way. I was so creeped out. I never told anyone because I felt guilty that I didn't help him. It's been almost 10 years and I still don't have anything that's somewhat close to an explanation what happened. Then my bestie and me were sleeping over at her grandma's house and enjoying the newly renovated attic as it was supposed to become her little teenager apartment. All new furniture with a huge comfy couch and nice clean boards screwed to the wall, all in white pink. Sleepover went just like you would imagine it, with 2 girls painting nails, watching and talking about the hottest gossip at school. It was already like 3 a.m. when we decided to go get some sleep and left the room to sleep in the bed next door. Only a few minutes later we heard a little scratching sound followed by a loud bang, clearly coming from the room we just left. One of the boards that were screwed to the wall was lying on the floor. Almost October 2nd, 2024, away from where it was supposed to be. Not like screw broke and it fell. Nope. Solid October 2nd, 2024, away from that wall. Almost deep hole in the ground where the board was laying. The holes in the wall looked like something grabbed that board and pulled it straight out, ripping the wood and concrete it was drilled to. Still getting goosebumps remembering it. I was in bed at night, woken up by the sound of steps on my roof tilling. I think I was about 13 at the time. I see a shadow walk past my skylight, unsure of what it was. I look outside my side window and see a man dressed in all black looking out from the construction scaffolding. After a while, he looks into my window and I try to hide. My brother also saw him. We never found out what happened to him, but the police were informed. Here is a creepy word story. During a road trip from NJ to NC, my friend and I decided we were hungry and went looking for food in a town in Maryland. I don't remember the name of the town, but it felt very strange as soon as we pulled onto the main road, as there didn't seem to be any people out and about. It was the middle of the day, but no one was walking around. There weren't any restaurant food options other than a pizza place, so we pulled up and parked in front of the pizza place. It seemed like everyone in the town must have gone to that pizza place. When we parked the car, Everyone in the restaurant turned and looked at our car through the big glass windows. Like, at the same time. They stared at us, we stared at them. It felt so weird that I said, "I don't want to go in there." My friend just nodded at me wide-eyed, and we drove to another town for lunch. Why was seemingly the whole town in that pizza place? What was with the staring? I'm almost a little sorry we didn't go in to find out, but at the same time not sorry at all. I just wanted to do a quick edit because I want to answer everyone's questions. As much as I would like to address them individually, I don't think I will be able. I wish I knew the name of the town. I think I never actually knew it. This story takes place 20 years ago. Google wasn't a thing. I think I had a beeper. I was new to driving, so using a paper map, my equally young and inexperienced in travel friend and I drove through the western part of Maryland to avoid major cities en route to Asheville, North Carolina. After reading everyone's comments, I agree we probably stumbled on a small town party or a very busy lunch hour. It just felt so scary to us at the time. I agree it seems Lovecraftian Stephen King-esque. I also hope we weren't going to be on the next day's menu. No, we were two 16, 17-year-old white girls with dark brown hair. This was midday, I was driving, no headlights. I hope this answers everyone's questions. I'm going to go enjoy Friday night as best as I can with some Moscow mules and hope everyone is staying safe. A number of years ago, I was using an online chat site and got talking to a woman who claimed to live around 50 miles from me. We chatted quite happily for a couple of days, then on the third day, a Saturday night, she was online and we were chatting, but she seemed different somehow. Something just didn't seem right, but I can't put my finger on it. She explained that she was drinking and I assumed that this was the reason behind the melancholy. We continued chatting and she put on a cam so I could see her there drinking as we chatted. Over a couple hours of chatting, her mood appeared to grow darker and she appeared distressed but was hesitant to elaborate further. She left and returned around 30 minutes later and appeared drunker and more distressed. This time she had a stack of tablets on the table in front of her. She claimed that she can't go on and started to take tablet after tablet. I had no idea what this medication was. She was continuing to take more and more tablets and her speech was getting more and more slurred. I was suddenly in a terrible position. Was I seeing someone take their own life on a live stream and totally unable to do anything? All I had was a name and a town, both of which could be false. I made the excuse of needing the toilet and left the room, and took this opportunity to call my local police and explained the situation. The police took what details I knew and I was told to go back and try and keep her talking and try and get further details from her. They sent a plain-clothed officer to my house and whilst I was chatting to her he pulled up the chat logs and history on his laptop. By this time her speech was becoming more and more incoherent and the cam was knocked so it was impossible to see her. Soon the connection was lost. Was this real? Was it fake? I had no idea of knowing. The police officer was during this time on the phone with the station giving them what information he had been able to obtain. He then left leaving me to contemplate. The next evening I got a call from the local police station who wanted to thank me. The police had managed to trace her through her IP address and had been able to attend. It apparently was a genuine suicide attempt and she had been taken to hospital and was subsequently undergoing treatment. When I was a kid, I was playing in our kitchen when I saw a huge dark figure walk past the kitchen and down the hallway leading to the bedrooms. I walked to our back patio and saw the rest of my family watching television. The patio is on the opposite side of the house from the hallway. I walked to the hallway and started looking for who it could have been but never found anyone. Still have no idea who or what it could have been, but it's always creeped me out thinking about it. I never make it in time to answer these and have pretty much kept this story to myself. I remember telling one person who told me don't repeat that, don't mess with whatever that was, so I didn't. I guess read at your own risk. When I was 10 I went with my parents to this campground so they could visit their friends. They had a son who I got along with, same age. Sometimes, however, if there was other kids around, the son would try and pick on me to impress them. Me and the son went fishing, and right as we're about to leave, another kid comes and joins us, and the son immediately starts picking on me. Not wanting to be stuck on a boat and teased, I decided to leave and walk back to the campground by myself. I didn't want to go straight back to my parents because they'd ask why I wasn't with the son, and I didn't want to get into it. So I just walked on this U-shaped road. In the center of the U are campers, and on the other side is woods with a lake around it. At the very center of the U is a park. Perfect. I think I'll just sit on the swings until I think enough time has passed to go back. As I'm on the swings, I notice a path directly across from me. I get up and start walking along this dirt path. There are reeds on either side of me, and I have my hands stretched out as I walk dead center of this path. My hands can just barely touch these reeds unless I move closer to one side. I walk for about 10 minutes maybe, and I get to this pond. Crystal clear water, and I have this urge to drink it. It looks so refreshing. I kneel down, and suddenly the hairs on the back of my neck go straight up. It was like I snapped back into myself. What am I doing? Why am I about to drink pond water? Why did I walk down this path? I start feeling really uneasy, so I turn around and start walking the same way I came. Let me clarify. There was only one path. Straight. I made no turns. I didn't walk around this pond. I simply walked to the end of the path, got freaked out about something, and turned around. Suddenly all types of bugs were now around. I kept walking, and I noticed the dirt path is getting more and more narrow. The reeds and tall grass are now at my arms, and there's a constant buzzing feeling in my ears from these bugs. The path gets so narrow that I have to walk sideways to avoid the reeds. I yell out help, and I hear a voice ask if I'm okay. I reply I'm lost, and a woman says, "Just walk straight, honey, I see you." I see nothing, it's just tall grass and reeds. I walk a few feet and see the road. I am scratched from head to toe, and there's a woman by the playground asking what happened. She takes a Kleenex out of her pocketbook and starts wiping some of the scratches, and I tell her what happened. I look behind me and see no path. I'm at the same park. I'm in front of the swing I was just on. The woman looks at me and tells me that I shouldn't even think about it and to just forget it happened because I'm fine now. But she really emphasized not to talk about it. I've always been on the fence about it. I'm sure there was one path in and one path out. The bugs could have steered me off course. Maybe me being paranoid. Or something more sinister that nearly trapped me for good. Happened to me before on a dark back road to my house. There is no street lights, the road is very curvy, and it was about 2 a.m. She was standing on a bend in the road on the edge while the cliff behind her was about 100-200 feet drop. There are no homes for about 2 miles up the hill. I was driving very slow to make the turn, so I got a good look with my headlights. I make it around the corner and look back, nothing. Creepiest thing ever. White older lady in a white nightgown just staring. Mine's pretty minor. I was awake one summer night with my window wide open to try to cool my room, and I heard this gigantic droning sound appear out of nowhere and remained for a few minutes. Sounded like it was coming from just outside my window above the road. It was one of the loudest sounds I've ever heard. Didn't sound like a helicopter. There wasn't that chop of blades in the air, and once it had stayed for a few minutes, it faded away, like it was going up into the air. Never heard anything like it since.
I turned 36 this year, and I decided to focus on my physical fitness, so I bought a swim club membership. The only problem was, most of the time when I go swimming, I wind up getting an ear infection. So it turns out that normal earplugs, they kind of irritate your ear canal, they don't really work, they don't keep the water out, but there is an amazing kind of earplug. It's called Mack's Pillow Soft Silicone earplugs that, they feel great, they keep the water out 100%, they're reusable, and they don't irritate your ear canal at all, no issues. If you've ever had a severe ear infection, you don't want to experience that again. It can permanently damage your hearing if you're unlucky. So investing in these earplugs is definitely a good idea. Um, Also, when my baby was crying later this year and I could not get to sleep, I used the same earplugs and they worked great. I was able to sleep right next to a crying baby. So be sure to click my affiliate link and purchase some of these Max earplugs today.
When I was 5, me and my identical twin sister both caught scarlet fever. We are from America, but my dad's project had temporarily relocated us to India, and we were not used to the water and food there. We both fell into a coma towards the end of the fever. One day I woke up to my mum and aunt screaming and crying and holding my sister because she was unresponsive and not breathing. They were doing chest compressions, etc. But nothing was working. I was desperately trying to get their attention because I was young and didn't understand what was going on. I went back in my room to go back to sleep, but in the corner of the room where my sister's bed was, I saw her laying there, breathing fine. I went back out to the living room and realized I was looking at myself in my mom's arms as she tried to revive me. Eventually, I saw my eyes flicker open, and then everything went dark. I woke up a few weeks later in the hospital next to my sister and mum, who ended up catching it because of us. My mum told me I had almost died and they were trying to wake me up, but I was unresponsive, so the ambulance took all three of us into the ICU. To this day, I am still unsure how I witnessed my almost death. My father was my grandmother's favorite child out of 6, partially because he was by far the youngest out of 10 children. She nicknamed him Little Mountain, as the last character in his Chinese name was or Mountain. I remember going to her funeral when she passed, and we were burning paper money for her to use in the afterlife of Taiwan Second's tradition. I vividly remember watching my dad picking up a scrap of half-burnt money and making a sort of strangled noise. It was burnt in such a way that it resembled the character, even down to the middle prong being longer than the other two. I'm seriously not religious or superstitious, but that was probably the closest I ever got to believing in the supernatural, or at least ghosts. I work as an adult novelty store manager with a theater, so please envision the kind of customers I get. I had this regular who was nice enough, and we always exchanged pleasantries and small talk. One day we said goodbye, and as he went to leave he stopped dead in his tracks and came back to the counter. He told me that he ignores it every time, but today it won't let him. So naturally I ask, what the hell is he talking about? He proceeds to tell me that there is an older black man who is with me 247. He sees him every time I'm in the store. The older black man just stands next to me watching me and smiling. At that point a chill ran up my spine because no one in that store knows besides my boss that I'm half black and my 65-year-old black father that I was so close to passed in 2014. I said the usual wow and oh my god, so I wouldn't give anything away to see what else he says to see if it's legit. The customer proceeds to tell me that the man my father is said about his kids not doing what's asked them to do, and one particular child I has greatly disappointed him. The man my father also wants the customer to tell me how much he loves his wife even though she's married again. At this point I have tears in my eyes because how would this man know there's conflict between me and my siblings because of my dad's death? How would this man know my mother is married again? He kept mentioning that he could feel a strong religious pull with my father. My father was a preacher. He told me a bunch of other things and asked if I was pregnant. I told him no, but apparently my next child will have my father's soul according to him. My 2-year-old son looks like my father and loves his favorite songs. I have never seen that man again. When my daughter was very young, 3-4, we were on a family vacation in a state park lodge. Our room had exposed wood ceiling beams to match the decor. Important later. It was supposed to be nap time for my daughter, but she was quietly playing by herself and just chatting away, and the wife and I were reading on the other bed. Out of the blue, my daughter turns to me and asks for a piece of rope. I asked why she needed the rope, and she nonchalantly replies, "It is for my friend, the purple girl on the ceiling." My wife asks, "What friend?" And my daughter responds, "I've been talking with the little purple girl hanging from that wood up there," points to the ceiling beyond. She asked me for another piece of rope. Needless to say that nap time was over and we quickly exited the room. I laid down to sleep one night. It always took me forever to fall asleep, as I'd have to breathe deeply for an hour to relax enough to drop off. A few minutes after I got into bed, the door to my room flew open with a bang. I heard something quite large and noisy stomp around the open area of my room, even felt a breeze that ruffled my hair, and then my door slammed shut and all was quiet. I was paralyzed with fear for a long time. Never got up to investigate due to sheer terror. No one else was home. Edited to add, sleep paralysis is a really good suggestion as to why this happened. But I don't think it was. First, I had only been in bed a few minutes, and since it always took me a very long time and effort to get to sleep, I am absolutely sure I had not slept. Second, I had sleep paralysis for about 10 years, but had trained my body to no longer have it. My method was to never sleep on my back and never take naps. Once my sleep schedule got regular and could sleep on my side, I rarely had sleep paralysis. But if I did have it on occasion, I used my mad Zen skills to calm myself and my breathing down and go to my happy place. Once it was no longer scary, I never had it again, and I haven't had it in about 20 years at this point. Edit to, thanks for the silver.
This year, like I said, I'm having a midlife crisis. I've started a YouTube channel and I'm on a big health kick. One thing that I found is very easy to eat, very easy to prepare, is I heat up chickpeas with chicken broth and tikka masala. And there are two schools of thought about how you should eat beans. Some people believe you should buy the dry beans and soak them, but I tried that and it was a disaster. So I buy canned beans every time. And if I'm opening like 2 cans a day to be on this diet, it is a massive pain in the ass if the can has this jagged metal edge. You know, I'm worried if like little bits of metal are getting into my food and going to slice up my intestines. So I found this special can opener that actually opens the can in a way that is completely safe, no metal's getting in your food, and is 1,000 times better than any other can opener I've ever used. So if you wind up, opening a lot of cans for whatever reason, maybe you've got a cat or something, you must buy this can opener from my affiliate link.